Okay, let's talk about AI. Right now, it feels like everyone is selling an AI revolution, doesn't it? But behind all those buzzwords and those huge promises, there's a ton of risk. So today, we're going to cut through the noise. I'm going to show you how to spot the hype so you can find a real, true strategic partner and not just another salesperson. And look, let's get real about the stakes right away. This number, 85%. That's from Gartner. It's the percentage of AI projects that fail to deliver on their promises. Just let that sink in for a second. 85%. We're talking about a colossal amount of wasted time, wasted money, and maybe worst of all, wasted trust within your organization. So yeah, the AI market is absolutely full of promises. But as you can see, it's also full of traps. That's exactly why we're here today. I'm going to arm you with 5 critical red flags. Think of these as your personal hype detector. They're going to help you instantly tell the difference between a pushy salesperson just trying to hit a quota and a real partner who's actually invested in solving your problems. All right, let's dive in. Red flag number 1, the wrong focus. Honestly, this is probably the easiest and most powerful test you can run. Right from that very first conversation, you just have to listen. What are they leading with? Are they talking all about their amazing technology, or are they asking questions about your business? And here's exactly what to listen for. A salesperson will immediately start pitching our incredible algorithm and all its shiny AI features. A partner, on the other hand, starts with you. They ask about your revenue, your pain points. See the difference? It's really that simple. If they lead with their tech instead of your business results, you know what to do. Run. And hey, don't just take it from me. Look at this. Research from the Rand Corporation backs this up completely. They found that the #1 reason AI projects go off the rails is because of misunderstandings about the actual purpose of the project. It's a total failure to grasp the business problem they were supposed to be solving in the first place. So this is the question you need to keep in your back pocket during any pitch. Ask yourself, is this vendor trying to solve a problem that's just, interesting to them? Or are they laser focused on solving your problem? Seriously, the answer to that one question tells you everything you need to know. Okay, so let's say a vendor passes that first test. They're focused on your problem. Great, but they can still stumble at the very next hurdle. And that brings us to red flag number 2, the data blind spot. And believe me, this is where a whole lot of fantasy gets sold as reality. You need to burn this into your brain. AI is only as good as the data you feed it, full stop. So if a vendor just waltzes in, ready to go, without asking you really tough questions about your data quality, your data governance, if they don't insist on doing some kind of data audit, they're not selling you a solution. They're selling you a complete fantasy. And again, the numbers don't lie. McKinsey found that a whopping 70%, 70, of AI project failures are tied directly back to problems with data. So ignoring data, that isn't just some minor blind spot. It's a guaranteed recipe for disaster. So a real partner, they'll actually welcome these tough questions. You should be asking them things point blank like, what's the source of your training data? How do you handle privacy? And, this is a big one, will our inputs be used to train your public model? You also got to ask, how do you measure and mitigate bias? And can you actually explain how your model works, or is it just a black box that nobody understands? If they get defensive or can't give you a straight answer, that's a massive warning sign. All right, let's talk about the money. This brings us right to red flag number 3, the mathless promise. You know this one. It's when a vendor promises you total transformation, but then gets all hand-wavy and vague the second you ask to see the actual numbers. I have a very simple rule for this. If they can't show you the math on the back of a napkin, it's because there is no math. Vague promises about efficiency gains or synergies, that's not a business case. That's just marketing fluff. They need to be able to show you a clear, simple calculation for how this thing is actually going to deliver a return on your investment. Look, a real partner builds this business case with you. It's a collaboration. First, you define the pain points together. Then, you figure out the actual requirements. Next, you identify precisely where AI can augment what your team is already doing. And only then, after all that work, can you quantify a real measurable ROI. You see,
It's a logical process, not just a wild promise.
And that brings us neatly to red flag number 4, what I call the all-in gamble. This is when a vendor tries to get you to bet the entire farm. They want a massive, big bang implementation right out of the gate. And that, my friends, is a huge, unnecessary risk. So, an all or nothing project? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's incredibly high risk, it's super disruptive to your operations, and you know what? It almost always ends in nothing. A smart, experienced partner knows this. They manage that risk by proposing a phased implementation. They'll always look for a pilot project first. A quick win to prove the concept, secure value, and build momentum for the bigger rollout. And again, the data on this is crystal clear. Research on technology adoption shows that projects that use a phased approach have a 60% higher success rate. 60%! That's not a sign of a vendor's lack of confidence. It's a sign of experience. It's just smart risk management. So what does a healthy plan actually look like? Well, it looks something like this. You spend the first few months on assessment and building a foundation. Then you move to a pilot to get that quick win. After that's proven, you can start expanding the deployment. And finally, you optimize and scale. See how each step builds on the last? You're de-risking the project the entire way. Okay, and now for our final red flag. And honestly, this might be the most important and the most overlooked of them all. It's the people problem. This is what happens when a vendor gets so obsessed with the technology that they completely forget about the human beings who actually have to use it every day. Now, a partner who really gets it will start talking about something called AI change management. And all that really means is having a structured plan. A plan to guide your team through the adoption of this new technology, making sure that they feel empowered by it, not, threatened by it. Because if you ignore the people, guess what happens? You get employee resistance and a whole lot of skepticism. You get terrible user adoption rates, and this is a big one. You'll start seeing people use their own unapproved and often risky shadow AI tools just to get their work done. The human factor isn't some soft skill. It is a hard, non-negotiable requirement for success. Let's be real clear on this. The bottom line is the best, most brilliant technology on the planet is completely worthless if your team doesn't adopt it. So if your vendor doesn't have a change management plan, you don't really have a project. What you have is a very, very expensive experiment. Look, I know there is so much noise and so much hype in the AI space right now. My job and the whole point of this explainer is to be your filter, to help you cut through all of that garbage and find a real partner you can actually trust. So if you're looking at a proposal right now and maybe a few of these red flags are popping up, I want you to consider getting a second opinion. Seriously, book a call. It can make all the difference in the world. Remember, when you're dealing with this stuff, clarity is power. So in the end, it all boils down to one simple question you have to ask yourself. Is your AI vendor trying to build a genuine solution for your business, or are they just trying to make a sale?